Thank you for coming, teacher. Teacher, as everyone aspires to love, why do so many suffer because of love?
Are you asking me this because you, yourself, have fallen in love?
No. I ask because I see so many unhappy couples out there. And yet most still love each other. As love is the highest ideal one can aspire to, why does love cause such suffering and sorrow?
The root aim of all existence is love. The ultimate union with the source. What some call the Creator or God. Yet these terms are simply concepts, and not the real thing. For it is true, young one, that every being, from the smallest ant to elevated, sentient beings, seek love.
But an ant cannot aspire to the same love as a human, can it?
Of course not. Though all creatures, great and small, are able to connect to the source of all things in their own way, love adapts itself to its house abilities. Not the other way around.
Teacher, what do you mean?
Because an ant's energy pathways are vastly limited when compared to ours, and because it is unable to transcend this state at its current stage of evolution, an ant's ideal of God is far different than a human's. In fact, such a concept does not exist in its day-to-day activities. Because of this, let's just say, what we call Mother Nature cares for the ant with an attention we would welcome, but do not depend on as much as the ant.
Because of our ability to open up to higher realms of understanding beyond the immediate needs of the physical body.
Correct.
But as humans, since we have such a high potential within us for love, why does love cause such misery?
As you should already know, love itself cannot be anything else but itself. That is, love. Therefore, it is incorrect to phrase your question in this way. For love does not cause misery. Only ignorance does.
So, teacher, does this mean that all the lovers out there mistake ignorance for love?
No. Their love for each other is genuine. But by attempting to mix two incompatible worlds into one, two worlds that simply cannot coexist, in the end, they only sow further misery and confusion.
Teacher, please explain further.
As you evolve into higher love consciousness, what is the one requirement that is a must in order for you to not fall back into old habits?
Detachment.
That is partly correct.
So, teacher, you are saying that because lovers are too attached to the known aspect of their loving relationship, their roots of attachment grow so deep that eventually, if they move but a little from the set order of things, they break. And this attachment, this deepening of the roots of attachment, causes a certain rigidity of the mind, as the latter attempts to fix space and time in one place, so as to make the outcome more easily controllable and secure. Now this may appear to work better once a child enters the equation. But before this stage, because the nature, the God within us, does not like to be defined or limited by another, once we realize we are, unhappily, trapped in expectations, born of routine, and not of love, because we do not wish to, consciously, hurt our partner in life, we, subconsciously, attempt to break free of these patterns. Usually by acting clumsily, such as cheating on our partner, and so on. Even though we may still love them, they in turn, faced with the unknown of this new equation into the forced order of things, suddenly feel as if the earth beneath their feet has given way. And so, they now need to break away from their partner in order to find a certain balance again. Yet, if the attraction is strong between them, without either one examining the root of the issue, they fall in each other's arms again. And eventually, repeat the same mistakes until they either accept the state of things or separate for good. And throughout all this, love is a silent witness. A simple blessing to be acknowledged or ignored. To love it matters not, for it is always love, and therefore cannot be the root cause of their pain and suffering. Even if the former lovers choose to blame love itself for the pain and the hurt. Is this correct, teacher?
Understand that nature is beyond good and evil. In this way, nature has the power to greatly influence, in those less aware, a strong desire for union with another of the opposite sex. All this for the sole purpose of fulfilling individual and group karmas, and also for procreation, to perpetuate the species, and in the case of higher beings, to advance the divine plan. But most ordinary lovers do not rise beyond this limited perception of love. Once nature's divine task is done, nature cares little whether to remain as one or go separate ways. All that matters is the perpetuation of the species. Therefore, there is no correct or incorrect. There is only vigilance and awareness. For only through the path of vigilance and awareness can one discover the root cause of
love. Sorry, teacher. You were saying
there is no root cause of love to be discovered. For love walks hand in hand with truth, and truth is self-evident. No. Only through the path of vigilance and awareness can one truly discover the root cause of all sorrow. Young one, all the teachings of the Holy Ones are not meant to direct you along a set path to truth. For this approach only leads to further intolerance between us all. No. The teachings are to remind us all that truth is always here. But most importantly, the sole purpose of higher teachings is to allow us to examine for ourselves the self-imposed obstacles preventing the individual from being aware that love is always present and has never abandoned us. All it requires to manifest is complete surrender.
So, lovers need to surrender to each other in order to truly love?
No. For your lover is but a projected form, and all forms face eventual dissolution. No. Young one, never wholly surrender to any being. Only surrender to love. I see you are trying to think your way through this. But let me tell you that, by being engaged in such an approach, you are only going around in circles that will lead you nowhere. For you see, the very desire and concept of actively thinking your way towards seeking love means you will never truly find it. Oh yes. You may experience love through the fulfillment of various desires. But this will all be fleeting, as in the end, you will still feel empty. I understand that this may seem like a strange thing to say. But, young one, have understanding. If I tell you that over yonder dune, true and lasting love awaits you eagerly. If you yearn to find it via intellect alone, the first thing your mind will do is map out the landscape with a grid of sorts. Then, it will seek to find the quickest and, depending on the landscape, safest route to the object of your desire. Now, let's say you succeed in finding love over yonder dune. Let's say that years later, you tell of this journey to your followers. The latter, being devoid of true love themselves, yet seeking it too, their mind will go through the same mapping process. But, because your moment cannot be replicated in real time, and they feel like they are on the outside looking in, their mind has to do this, using abstract concepts and familiar imagery. This leads them to falsely imagine the path you took to discovering truth. Eventually, through multiple generations, this glorified path becomes more important than truth itself. And for all who now gather in your name, anyone that seeks to engage a different path to love can no longer be part of the group. If they do, they must either conform to tradition or be excommunicated. Now, all this drama may seem traumatic to the individual that seeks to question which path to take. But the trauma only exists because on some level, that individual still believes that choosing this or that path is the way to truth. But truth requires no path in order to be discovered. And until the individual can learn to let go and transcend the programming of their own mind regarding the various self-created concepts leading to truth, or even falsely claiming to be truth itself, that individual is bound to continue suffering in their seeking, due to the conditioned belief that truth cannot exist without a set path. And until the path is discovered, truth must remain waiting behind some dune for them to discover.
Teacher, you said in your example that if I yearn to discover truth via intellect alone, is it possible to discover all-encompassing and divine truth via intellect alone?
Come, young one. That is enough for today. Once planted, in order to grow, the seed must be left in the caring hands of the gods and the Divine Mother. When it is ready, it will blossom in due time.